welcome to Diecast Restos. I'm Jason and this is my second Matchbox MB201 Cavalier Vectra Custom. Last time out, I recreated the 1992 British Touring Car Championship entry belonging to John Cleland. This time around, I will be making a replica of the last Cavalier racer from the 1996 season. That car was driven by Richard Kaye, as seen here in its Fujifilm livery. The decals I've got replicate the 1996 livery, but with the number 67 as used by Tony Absolom, who campaigns that very car in historic touring car racing. My model is missing its rear panel, so I have a reproduction one here to fill that gap. I'll leave a link in the description to where I sourced it from. It may seem a bit unusual at first, but these Metro 6R4 replica wheels from Creative 164 are coincidentally near perfect matches to the BTCC rims of the mid-90s. I'll get priming and painting those 3D printed parts. The MB201 model arrived in the Matchbox mainline in 1990. Produced in either China or Macau, they were painted a metallic maroon, had a black plastic rear panel, light grey plastic interior, silver trim to the headlights, and 8-dot wheels. It was swiftly deleted from the mainline after 1991. Only one variation existed in the form of a German playset issue. This casting was identical to the maroon car other than its body colour. They were green and produced only in China, not Macau. The 1:59 scale model carried the wording Vectra / Cavalier GSi 2000 on the base. This was because the car it is replicating was offered through two brands, with each having differing model names for it. It was sold as the Opel Vectra across Europe by then General Motors subsidiary Opel. In the UK at the time, Vauxhall effectively sold rebadged Opel products. As such, Vauxhall used their legacy name Cavalier. The Cavalier's origins lie in the 1975 Mark I, a large family car that was essentially a restyled and, in my opinion, less handsome Opel Ascona B. The Ascona itself stems back to 1970, when Opel and Vauxhall had entirely separate design departments and platform sharing between the brands was in its infancy. The first Cavalier was available in an array of body styles, including 2- or 4-door saloons, a 2-door coupe, or a 3-door hatchback. The latter was sold as the Sports Hatch, itself a reworked Opel Manta B, as was the coupe. A second generation would arrive in 1981, with the platform now converted to front-wheel drive from rear-wheel drive. This time there would be no styling or engineering differences between the Cavalier and the equivalent Opel Ascona C. The only differences would be in the badging and trim levels. It was built on GM's J-body platform, shared with the Australian Holden Chimera, Brazilian Chevrolet Monza, Japanese Isuzu Aska, and North American Chevrolet Cavalier, Cadillac Cimarron, Pontiac Sunbird, Buick Skyhawk, and Oldsmobile Forenza. Body styles were expanded for the Mark II Cavalier, with a 5-door estate joining the 2- and 4-door saloons, 5-door hatchback, and 2-door convertible. But for the 1988 Mark III, the range of body styles had been seriously rationalised. GM had developed a whole new platform for their mid-sized transverse-engined front-wheel drive cars, called the GM 2900. This was intended to replace the Cavalier and Ascona primarily, though it would eventually expand to Holden, Chevrolet Latin America, Saturn, and Saab. While the new car retained the Cavalier name for the UK market, due to Vauxhall's customer-based brand loyalty, Opel would rename it the Vectra. It was only offered as a 4-door saloon or a 5-door hatchback, though the Calibra was spawned from its floor pan as the coupe replacement for the Opel Manta in 1989. This Matchbox model has GSi 2000 cast into its front number plate, and it is moulded onto the model's name on the base. Between 1988 and 1992, this was the Cavalier or Vectra's performance model, featuring a 2-litre 16-valve engine known as a red top. The 128 horsepower GSi 2000 was dropped from the lineup in 1992, coinciding with a facelift and an engine refresh. This may have contributed to the model's sudden departure from the Matchbox range. The same 2-litre red top was turbocharged on a new model called the Cavalier Turbo, which produced 200 horsepower. It also had a four-wheel drive system, though this had been made available as an option on the Opel Vectra a couple of years earlier. The Cavalier name was finally dropped in 1995 when the new Vectra B was launched. Vauxhall adopted the name from its European sister company. During the Cavalier's lifespan, more than 1.8 million units were produced. As I'd have told you in my last video working on this casting, it was entered into the British Touring Car Championship between 1990 and 1995. I previously recreated John Cleland's 1992 entry, in which he dramatically lost out on the championship title following a fierce battle in the season finale. Cleland had finished up runner-up to Frank Sittner in his BMW M3 in 1990, the final year that the competition was run in multiple classes. With a level playing field for 1991, Cleland would finish second in the drivers' standings in his Cavalier, again behind a BMW, this time driven by Will Hoy. While Vauxhall had finished second in the Manufacturers' Championship in 1991, they did win it in the 1992 season with strong performances from both Cleland and Jeff Allen. They finished third and fourth in the driver standings respectively. Vauxhall were muscled out by BMW again in 1993, as the pair could only muster 4th and 9th in the drivers' table. 1994 was dominated by newcomers Alfa Romeo and driver Gabriele Tarquini in the rule-bending 155. Vauxhall finished well down the order in 5th place, with Cleland 4th and Allen only 10th. 1995 was the final year that Vauxhall Sport would use the Cavalier as a works entry, as the new Vectra B would replace it for 1996. It went out with a bang, as Cleland took the driver's title, plus the team secured the manufacturer's title with assistance from Allen, James Thompson and Michael Briggs. Thompson had replaced Allen, but missed out on much of the latter stages of the season through injury, following a big crash testing at Knockhill. Though the Cavalier had been retired from top-level competition, the very final Cavalier built by Vauxhall Sport would continue in the BTCC for a little longer, as it was entered into the Total Cup for Independence. Richard Kaye, brother of Honda driver James Kaye, was the entrant for Mint Motorsport, and would compete at all rounds of the 1996 season. That is the car I am recreating here, with its bold Fujifilm and Danepak red and green on white livery. Kaye's best result in the aging equipment was 8th position overall in the first race at Snetterton, beating a number of works teams and drivers. In addition to points scored at Silverstone and Alton Park, he totaled 6 points overall, good enough for a 17th placed finish on the drivers' standings. In the Privateers Championship, he would finish runner-up to Lee Brooks, who was competing in a 1995 X-Works Toyota Carina. With Kaye as the team's sole driver, Mint Motorsport would finish 1996 in 9th out of 13 in the team's championship. This very same chassis was again entered in 1997 by Mint Motorsport, with rookie Jamie Wall driving it every round. By now, the car was even less competitive. Wall picked up no championship points and finished 20th of 23 drivers. He finished 4th of 7 in the Privateers Championship, and the team would register 12th of 15 in the team's championship. This would be the final year of entry for the 1995 car, which was the one built to replace the chassis heavily damaged by James Thompson at Knockhill. It had made its racing debut at the 1995 FIA Touring Car World Cup, not the BTCC. Oddly, it wasn't entered as a Cavalier, rather as an Opel Vectra GT under the Opel Japan banner as a Japanese Touring Car Championship entry driven by Anthony Reid. In the event held at Circuit Paul Ricard in France, Reid retired from the first race but finished a credible 10th in the second. After its top-level competition days were over, this chassis was entered into various Formula Saloons and Welsh Saloon sports car races by Nigel Bowen until 2004, when it was placed into storage. In 2009, it was sold and fully restored by Johnny Westbrook, who took it back to its bare shell. Resplendent in its Fujifilm livery again, it made its return in historic racing in 2012, rather aptly at the Fujifilm Touring Car Trophy, and was driven by Frank Rathel. He also ran the car in the 2013 HSCC Touring Car Trophy, before I believe the car changed hands. From 2014, it was driven with the number 67, as you see here with this casting, piloted by Tony Absolom. I'm not sure why these decals recreate this particular era of the car, but it is what it is. I guess it is based on the availability of images of the car in recent years at historic events, rather than period photos from 1996 or 97 in the BTCC, where it ran lower down the order as an independent. From 2014 to 2018 with Absolom driving, it raced in the HSCC Super Touring Car Challenge, and later under the Saloon Car Cup name in 2019 and 2021, skipping 2020 due to Covid. In 2022 and 2024, it competed in the CTCRC Super Tourer Series, but there's no evidence of any more recent outings. The Cavalier also made outings at the 2022 David Leslie Trophy at Knockhill, and it was run as a demo car at the 74th Goodwood Road Racing Club members meeting. And with that story of the car told, it's time to apply the finishing touches to my recreation. Here then are all of the pieces that make up the Cavalier stroke Vectra. The transparency, complete with Alpine sunstrip, slots in first of all. Then comes my interior piece with the driver's seat specifically picked out in black. I did this as I wanted a simple race car look without chopping up the interior of what is a rare piece. But with the base in place, that about wraps up this build. Here's how this Vectra stroke Cavalier GSi 2000 looked earlier. A little roughed up and missing its rear plastic panel, I had a set of decals that belonged on this casting. With a couple of tweaks to the aero, a front splitter and a rear spoiler, plus a replacement rear panel and a new set of wheels, I could turn this into the last Cavalier entered into the British Touring Car Championship. So let's see how it turned out. It's not a timeless classic, but I really love this Mint Motorsport livery that combines Fujifilm and Danepak, two quite different sponsors. To do this, I needed to make the short-lived Matchbox look more like the facelifted Cavalier, plus add on the aero packages that were introduced to the BTCC in 1995. Then I've teamed it with some lookalike wheels that are actually designed for a Metro 6R4. The livery looks just as good on the casting as it does on the actual touring car. They were a bit finicky to apply in places, but on the whole they look great. But what do you think? Tell me your thoughts down in the comments. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed it, and please hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed. But all that leaves me to say is thanks for watching, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.